Okay, so just taking a look at a typical overlay scheme here. This is my survey drawing. In here I've got 3D polylines representing the road edges. I've got then 3D polylines representing the yellow lines on the road, or the broken yellow lines on the road, and then I've got the center line 3D polyline as well. So also in here then we've got the survey points themselves for each of those strings. Okay, and I have added those into a surface. So I've created a Civil 3D surface here, added in the survey points and polylines, and then I've joined up the center line points, the surveyed center line points, to create my surveyed road center line alignment. Okay, so those center line points and all of the points that were surveyed are at roughly 10-meter intervals down along the road. So if I measure the distance here between one set of survey points and the next, the distance is roughly 10 meters. Okay, now the problem arises when creating cross sections and doing the overlay design, with the fact that they're not at exactly 10-meter intervals. And while it seems like a very small issue, it really causes a big problem for us initially in when designing overlays. Okay, so I'll just kind of demonstrate that. If I create sample lines here, just select my alignment. It's going to create the sample line group. Just select OK, and I'll create my sample lines. I'm going to create them not at set increments, but get it to create them at the horizontal geometry points on the alignment. So they are, because I've snapped to the surveyed center line points, the horizontal geometry points coincide with the surveyed point locations. So when I click OK and it creates the sample lines, they'll be at the locations where the points have been surveyed on the road. Okay, but the problem with that then is if I create my section views for those, okay, and just quickly dump them in here, the chainages of those sections will be uneven, and they won't make any sense from a setting out point of view. So if we look at some of them here, so 143, okay, the next one is 151, 161.909. So you couldn't give that set out information of those changes to a contractor. They just wouldn't make any sense. So we need to have the sections at set even intervals down along the road that are easy to set out. So if I just delete these then, and we do, instead of creating the sample lines and section views at the survey point locations, if we create them at the 10-meter intervals instead, and see how that looks. Okay, so I'm just going to recreate the sample lines. Okay, and this time I'm going to put them at 10-meter intervals and not at the horizontal geometry point. So if I click OK on that, okay, that's created now our sample lines at 10-meter intervals. And I don't need to create the section views to kind of show this, but if we just look at, let me see, just find it up here. So let's just take this sample line at Chainage 270. Okay, it doesn't correspond with where the survey points are. Okay, so we can't sort of work this way either, because when we're designing the overlay in Civil 3D, we're designing it on the cross sections at the cross section locations. Okay, so and because I suppose the design needs to be so accurate and quantities are small, and any sort of small error that you introduce can have a big impact on the volumes, and we need accurate survey information at the sections that we're designing at, or at the locations we're designing at. So while there might only be a small difference between the Chainage 270 and where the points have been surveyed, it still isn't good enough. We need survey points at our design chainages. Okay, so the way around that then is to create points at our set intervals, or 10-meter intervals in this case, and then set those out, resurvey them, and import them back in, so that we have survey points then at our design chainages on the road. Okay, so in the next video we're just going to take a look at that, creating a temporary corridor that will then extract set out points at our 10-meter intervals for the road edges, the yellow line, and maybe a point here in the middle of each carriageway as well. And then we'll show how to export those out to CSV file for upload to the logger. Okay, so that's the next video.